It was almost midnight. The darkness completely swallowed the narrow street at the edge of the old city. The wind howled through the dead trees, and the creaking of broken windows sounded like whispers from something that had never truly died. I was driving home, exhausted after a long trip, when my car suddenly sputtered to a stop right beside an abandoned house. Rusty wires choked the yard, and shattered windows glared back at me like hollow, watching eyes. For a split second, I swear I saw a shadow move behind one of the glass panes, then it vanished. With no cell service and no other choice, I walked up to the heavy oak door and knocked. It creaked open on its own, the hinges screaming into the dead silence of the night. I stepped inside, my voice trembling as I called out, "Hello? Is anyone here?" Nothing. No answer. But the air inside was freezing so cold I could see my own breath fogging in front of me. Everything was caked in a thick layer of dust, except for one single chair, standing pristine in the middle of the room, as if someone had just been sitting there only moments ago. As I took a cautious step closer, I heard it, the distinct sound of breathing, right behind me. I spun around, nothing. And then, bam, the front door slammed shut on its own. My heart leaped into my throat. Above me, slow, deliberate footsteps began to echo across the ceiling. One step, two, they stopped directly above my head. Then came the whispers. It wasn't one voice, but dozens, murmuring through the very walls in a language that didn't belong to this world. And then I saw her. A pale woman, standing at the foot of the staircase. Half of her face was lost in shadow, but the other half, it was horribly burned and twisted. Her lifeless eyes fixed on me, and a raspy voice scraped from her throat. "You came back. You were the last to leave. Why did you return?" I was paralyzed. The air grew heavy, thick, each breath feeling like I was drowning. Her steps creaked on the floorboards, slow and deliberate, as she moved towards me. Her arm began to stretch, and naturally long, her fingers curling like snakes. When her icy hand touched my face, I felt death itself seep into my skin. Images exploded inside my mind, flames licking at the walls, people screaming in agony, blood smeared across the plaster, and a child's voice crying out over and over, "Don't leave us here." Panic took over. I scrambled for the door, but the door was gone. In its place was a solid wall of black bricks. I turned around, and the room was full of faces. Ghostly, hollow, pale faces, all of them staring at me, their mouths whispering one single phrase over and over, "Stay with us." From that night on, my life became a living nightmare. Every time I looked into a mirror, I could see a wooden door behind me, a door that didn't exist in my room. Sleep became a stranger. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the pale woman standing in the corner of my vision, just watching. And every single morning, I'd find wet, muddy footprints on my floor, leading from the hallway and ending right in front of the mirror. I knew I couldn't live like this. I had to go back to find the truth, to end this. At sunset, I drove back to that cursed house. The sky was bleeding red, and the air was still as death. The door creaked open again, just as before, and I forced myself to step inside. The floor was now covered in a thick layer of ash, like freshly fallen snow, and there it was, the same chair, but this time, there was a burnt photograph resting on it. I picked it up. As my fingers touched the singed edges, I felt a sharp sting, as if the photo itself pulsed with a faint heartbeat. It was an old family photo, a man, a woman, and a small child. The man's face was blurred and distorted by the heat. The child had no features left at all, but the woman, it was her. The same woman I saw that night. Then I heard it, a soft crying, coming from upstairs. A child's sob. My feet moved on their own, carrying me up the groaning staircase, each step complaining under my weight. At the top of the landing, one door stood half open, a faint, flickering light leaking from the crack. I pushed it open. The room inside was a portrait of ruin. Charred furniture, walls stained black with soot, and on one wall, scrawled in what looked like ash, were the words, "Whoever enters here, never leaves alone." Slam. The door slammed shut behind me. The air instantly turned thick with the smell of old smoke and fire, and then the walls began to bleed. A dark, tar-like liquid dripped down in thick rivulets. A small boy crawled out from under the burnt remains of a bed. His face was disfigured, his eyes glowing like red embers in the dark. He spoke, but his voice was ancient and raw. "You've been here before. You're the reason we died." I froze as the room began to warp and twist around me. Flashes of another memory, not mine, but forced into my head, pierced my mind. I saw myself, standing right here amidst the flames, holding a lighter. I saw myself laughing while people screamed from inside the burning house. The pale woman appeared behind me. She placed her cold, heavy hand on my shoulder and whispered directly into my ear, "You burned us, so now your soul burns with ours." I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The world melted into absolute darkness. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my bedroom, but the mirror was open, and behind the glass stood a real, solid wooden door. From the other side, I hear them, whispers, calling my name. Every single night, begging me to return. They say the house no longer exists, that it vanished. From every map, from every record. But sometimes, late-night travelers passing down that lonely road still report hearing faint screams, coming from a place where nothing remains, nothing but ashes, and a broken mirror. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there.